Hello and welcome, all you project control professional apprentices from Kent Business College. Today, we're getting into something called lean scheduling. Now, trust me, this is a powerful concept that's not only going to change how you look at project management, but it's also going to give you a serious leg up in your endpoint assessment. Right, let's be honest for a second. Have you ever been on a project that felt less like a well-oiled machine and, well, more like just organized chaos? You know the feeling. It's a bit like trying to get everyone onto a train at London Victoria during peak rush hour, only there are no platform markings, no queue, just a massive, inefficient scrum. That is often what traditional project management feels like. And this really gets to the heart of it. See, the old way, the one that creates all that chaos, it's obsessed with one thing: keeping people busy. They give it a fancy name, resource utilization, but it basically just means that as long as everyone looks like they're working hard, the project must be going well, right? Well, the lean way completely flips that on its head. It's not about keeping people busy. It's about keeping the work itself flowing smoothly from one step to the next. And that one simple shift in focus, well, that's the big idea we're going to unpack today. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to look at that better way with lean thinking. Then we'll get practical with the lean toolkit. After that, we'll see how it all comes together in something called the last planner system. And crucially for you lot, we're going to spend some proper time on how this will help you absolutely nail your EPA. Then we'll wrap up by looking at your future as a lean project pro. Sound good? Right then, let's get cracking. Okay, let's dive right into our first section, a better way with lean. I want you to think of this as moving from a right old racket to a finely tuned symphony. This is where we learn the sheet music. So what on earth is lean scheduling? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's about taking these brilliant lean principles and applying them directly to how we plan and run our projects. And the goal is incredibly powerful. You maximize the value you're creating for the client, you ruthlessly cut out all the waste, and you create a smooth, continuous, and, this is the key word, reliable flow of work. It's all about being effective, not just looking busy. And these are the things we're trying to get rid of. In lean, they're called the 8 wastes. Think of them as the sour notes that can completely ruin your project symphony. You've got waiting, teams standing about because the bricks haven't turned up, grinding everything to a halt. There's overproduction, doing work way before it's needed, which just ties up cash and space. Defects, which means rework, the ultimate time waster that absolutely kills morale. And my personal favorite, unused talent, not tapping into the brilliant ideas of the very people doing the work. Lean thinking helps us spot all of these and tune them out. Right, on to our next section, the lean toolkit. Now that we've got the theory down, let's look at the actual instruments you'll be using to make this music happen on your projects. First up is a real game changer, pull planning. I want you to forget the old way of starting at the beginning and just sort of pushing tasks forward, hoping for the best. With pull planning, you start at the end. You take a key milestone, a big deadline, you stick it on a wall, and then, as a team, you work backwards. The need to hit that final milestone literally pulls all the required work into the plan. It's a completely different and, frankly, much smarter way of thinking. Okay, but how does this work in practice? Well, forget complex construction projects for a second, and just think about making a Sunday roast. If you want to serve dinner at 2 p.m., that's your milestone. You don't start by peeling the spuds at 8 in the morning, do you? Of course not. No, you work backwards. You know you need to serve at 2, so you figure out the roast has to go in the oven at a certain time. Before that, the veggies need prepping, and before that, you've got to have gone to the shops. See? You've just done a pull plan. It's that intuitive. And this brings us to another vital tool in the toolkit. What's the secret to making that Sunday roast, or any project for that matter, flow smoothly? It's something called constraint removal. Now, if you're a fan of cooking shows, you'll know the term mise en place. It's that thing chefs do, where they get all their ingredients prepped and ready before they even turn the heat on. That's exactly what this is. It's the professional discipline of making sure everything, materials, designs, information, permits, is ready to go before a task is ever scheduled to start. No more starting a job only to find you're missing a key ingredient. So if pull planning and constraint removal are your instruments, how do you get everyone playing together, in time, from the same sheet music? Well, that brings us to section 3. The last planner system. This is the framework for conducting your entire symphony. You see, the last planner system, or LPS, it works in layers, from the big picture all the way down to the daily grind. So at the very top, you've got the master schedule. That's the entire symphony score. Then you zoom into a phase plan, which is often created using that pull planning we just talked about.
From there, you have the look-ahead plan, which is peering 6 to 8 weeks into the future, specifically to spot and remove those constraints. And finally, you have the weekly work plan. And this is the most crucial part. It's the specific, concrete commitments made by the team for what they will get done this week.
So, how do you know if your orchestra is actually playing well together? Simple, you measure it. The key metric in LPS is called Percent Plan Complete, or PPC, and it's dead simple to calculate. You just take the number of tasks you actually finished and divide it by the number you promised you'd do in that weekly plan. Think of it like a football team's pass completion rate. It's a number that tells you, honestly, how reliable your planning really is.
And what does a good score actually look like? Well, if you're hitting around 50%, things are, let's be honest, a bit shaky. Promises are being broken as often as they're kept. As you get up towards 75%, you're getting there. Your system is becoming much more dependable. But the real goal, where the mature, high-performing teams operate, is up in the 90% range. And that's when your project is running like absolute clockwork, with predictable, reliable flow.
Right. Now for the really crucial point. How does all of this actually help you? Let's talk about nailing your endpoint assessment. This is all about showing that examiner that you're not just some scorekeeper. You're the maestro conducting the music. Look, this isn't just nice-to-have theory. It maps directly to your knowledge, skills, and behaviors. When you talk about facilitating a pull planning session, you're hitting K4 for project planning knowledge, S4 for your scheduling skills, and B4 for your collaborative behaviors. When you explain how you removed constraints, you're demonstrating risk management under K5 and S6. And measuring PPC, that's pure data analysis and reporting, K23 and S2. This is precisely the kind of language and evidence your EPA examiner wants to hear. And it gives you fantastic, tangible evidence for your portfolio. So don't just write about this stuff, show it. Take a photo of your team's pull plan on the wall, all those sticky notes. Include your look-ahead schedule with the constraint analysis you've done. Chart your team's PPC data over a few weeks and show how it improved. And, most importantly, write a personal reflection on how you helped improve that workflow. That is absolute gold dust. Okay, quick fire round. Let's imagine the EPA examiner hits you with this scenario. A project's weekly tasks are consistently failing because materials are always missing. Sound familiar to anyone? Then they ask you, what lean approach would you suggest? What are you going to say? And here's your perfect answer. First, you'd suggest implementing a formal look-ahead planning process. Second, you'd use that process to start a systematic routine of constraint removal. And the key principle you're applying? You are ensuring that work is made ready before it ever gets onto the weekly commitment plan. Simple, powerful, and a brilliant answer that shows you get it. Okay, next question. They might hit you with a numbers one. Just to check. Your team planned 20 tasks and they completed 14 of them. What's the PPC? It's 14 divided by 20 times 100, which is, of course, 70%. And then you could add a little extra flourish and say that this shows reliability is improving, but there's still work to do on that constraint removal. See, you're not just calculating, you're interpreting the data. And so for our final section, let's just zoom out and look at your lean future. Because honestly, this is about so much more than just passing an exam. It's about you becoming the next generation of project leaders. I really want to leave you with this idea. Adopting lean scheduling fundamentally shifts you. You stop being just a scorekeeper, someone who just tracks dates in a spreadsheet and reports when things are late. You become a conductor. Your job is to make sure the music, the actual work, happens smoothly and reliably. It's a massive move from being reactive to being proactive. So as we finish up, I have one last question for you. I want you to think about the project you're on right now. What's the one sour note, that one recurring problem or frustrating delay that you could start to fix next week just by applying a little bit of this lean thinking? Go on, go and be the conductor. Thanks for watching.